Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Finally, after what feels like the longest time, community submitted builds are finally returning to the channel. Now, if you do have your own personal build, feel free to email it me over, I'll check it out, and if it works well, I will feature it in a video just like this one, which is courtesy of Gabe Keeps, who kindly sent me this one over, featuring this, the Pagani Zonda R. This is a car that I've slept on for the longest time, but I thought I'd go ahead and finally check it out. Now, I want to give a big thank you to D-Bro for the livery for this video. Whilst it isn't made specifically for this, I do love to highlight the creators of the Gran Turismo community for their hard work. This livery right here taking me all the way back to Gran Turismo 3 and the Pagani race car LM in that game. Now, in terms of the car itself, like I mentioned, this is the Pagani Zonda R from 2009. Comes in with a PP rating of 764.67, 737 brake horsepower, 1070 kilograms, naturally aspirated, and will cost you 1.8 million. Now, thankfully, this isn't one of the invite cars. Funnily enough, the Pagani Huayra is actually the invite car of the two, which is relatively surprising considering how exclusive this Pagani Zonda R is. Now, there's going to be two builds here. First up, the 800 PP build running on racing mediums. Body height 60 and 75, anti-roll bar is 4 for both, compression 35, expansion 45, natural frequency at the front is 2.80 and 3 at the rear. Negative camber angle is going to be 2 across for both. In terms of the toe angle, it's dead 0 at the front and 0.20 inwards at the rear. And now onto the differential, we have the torque at 10, acceleration 20, braking 40. Moving on, next is the fully customizable racing transmission set to 350. No ballast or kind of performance reducing parts here. Front is going to be 450 with a rear of 750, high RPM turbocharger, hydraulic handbrake set to 66, steering angle adapter, and then finally at the bottom, increased body rigidity. Now we also have another build that was sent over as well by the same person for a 700 PP build for Le Mans. Racing hards for this one, but you also want to make sure you got the wet weather tyres, body height 60 at the front and 75 rear. Anti-roll bar is 4 across for both, 35 compression and 45 for expansion. Natural frequency once again 280 front and 3 at the rear. Negative camber angle 2 for both. Toe angle 0 at the front and 0.20 inwards at the rear. Again, torque is 10, acceleration 20, braking 40. Fully customizable racing transmission, once again set this time to 300. Ballast is going to be full with a positioning of -45. Power restrictor set to 70 with the fully customizable ECU set to 95. Front downforce 350, rear 750. No turbocharger attached to this build, as well as I've not bothered putting the handbrake or the angle kit on either. We also have the increased body rigidity on both builds, obviously, as this will have to be a perma part. Now, next up, you want to turn your race difficulty down to easy. The whole point of grinding easy money is to reduce the amount of, I guess, risk versus reward. First up, for the 800 build, you want to run it at the WTC 800 over at Sardinia Road Track. Next up, in terms of the 700, it's going to be over here in France at Le Mans. This is going to be the middle event, which is a WTC 700, the one with the 550k payout. Now let's talk about the car itself. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this is a car that I've slept on for the longest time, but after, I guess, absolutely years of people begging me to test this thing out, I finally caved in. I wasn't much of a, I guess, fan of this car just due to the fact it's a bit of a weird car. It's fairly expensive at 1.8 million. Although it does run on racing tyres as standard, it very much has the fuel efficiency of a standard road car, meaning that it does typically drink a lot more fuel than you usually see for a lot of the other builds. However, obviously getting this one sent over to me personally and bringing back community content, I thought, do you know what, finally I'm going to get around to testing it, and I was very pleasantly surprised. This is perhaps one of the easiest cars to drive in the entire game, especially when it comes to those, I guess, long forgotten cars. You know, again, I know a lot of people absolutely swear by this one and they are very vocal about using this car, But again, just originally due to the fuel, I didn't want to use it, but I'm happy I finally did. Now I'm only going to show you footage from Sardinia. Le Mans, you're going to be doing the exact same strategy once again. Fuel mix 6 for both the 700 and 800 pp build is a must. You're then going to begin running both of the events. Whether you're at Le Mans, you'll then monitor the weather and such, but at Sardinia, you're just going to work your way through the field. It's the typical easier of the two. Now in terms of earning potentials, you can earn upwards of 1.65 million credits every single hour using this car. It's super simple to drive, whether you're using either the 700 or the 800 pp build. Whilst after running Sardinia, I did go ahead and test the 700 build. I'd have to say my preference is with the 800 just due to the fact that Sardinia is so easy and you are running a much more performance orientated version of the Zonda, and I feel like that's just the way this thing needs to be driven, but both are super simple and super easy to use, both featuring a ton of grip. Obviously reduced downforce at Le Mans also allows you to hit much higher top speeds even when running in that fuel mix 6, and that's what great thing about this car. It's so easy to drive no matter what, and it does hit some very high top speeds even when we're trying to keep it at its most fuel efficient. Now in terms of taking the lead at Sardinia, I did this towards the latter half of lap 2. After this, it's all about doing your double stops. That's the only real downside of this car. It does require you to do a double stopper. Now once you pit first at the end of lap 6, you're going to be boxing in and changing onto another set of fresh racing mediums. This should allow you to go all the way until the second stop, which you'll do later on in the race. Now in terms of the fuel, again, just put it to the maximum and you will be good to go for that second stint. So once the fuel's in, it is going to be time to get sprinting off once again and manage to build up that lead once again. So here we go, we're going to leave the pits, a quick check behind us, and we are literally all good for a second stint. Now at this point, you're probably going to be lapping the AI at Sardinia. You just need to be careful. Whilst the clean race bonus won't be lost if you hit them, it can be absolutely detrimental to your run. Taking damage in these cars will absolutely destroy your performance and lose you a ton of time. So just be very wary of them, especially at the pit exit. If any are coming out, they will just absolutely blindside you. Now in terms of the second stop, you're going to be doing this at the end of lap 12, pretty much equal to the first stop once again. Then again, you're going to put another set of racing mediums on, as you may start to feel a bit of extra wear on the second run in comparison to the first run. At least that's what it was like in my own personal experience. At this point, you're going to begin to fill the car, fill it all the way, even if it does tell you that that little diamond will only need half a tank of fuel. And there is some reasoning behind that. That's because we're going to turn the engine up for the last few laps, and we'll save more time by absolutely booting the engine up than we actually would from, you know, kind of filling it halfway. So again, a full tank of fuel I would fully recommend. After this, you're going to begin to do a lap on fuel mix 6 once again. Once you hit lap 14, however, you can start playing around with the fuel mixers. I went to fuel mix 3, which is the midway point on lap 14, and then booted it all the way to fuel mix 1 just before the start of the final lap. This way we are at maximum performance. After that, it's just a case of getting yourself across the line, and you should have this one very easily in the bag, lapping the entire field almost twice. Now in terms of the overall time limit, it certainly wasn't on the lower side. However, ease of driving is certainly a great reason to recommend this car. So once again, massive thank you to Gabe Keats for sending over this build. I enjoyed both the 700 and the 800, with my preference being this one just due to getting that extra performance. Fastest lap on lap 15, which was a 1:33. In terms of payout for Sardinia, typical at 727,500, and obviously a little bit more for the 30-minute at Le Mans if you are choosing to use that 700 build. Massive thank you to all of my channel members: Louis Vieira, Old School Gamers, Crazy Cobra, JRO49, Cole Wyatt, Phil Wilmot, Dominic Saylor, Dan, Sean, and Chris75572. Thank you for your continued support. Again, if you do want to send your own community submitted content, I'm probably going to feature this maybe every couple of weeks on a Sunday. I'm very interested to see what you guys have on offer. Again, I slept on the Zonda R for the longest time, but finally I've caved in. Overall, is it absolutely perfect? No. Is it the fastest? No, but it is super easy to drive and definitely worth your time if you've got one of these sat around in your garage. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.